Welcome to APM and Java training plan. So this is the session for telling you guys about the agenda of the training sessions that we do in ReferMe. So I will go through the topics that we cover in APM training sessions during the course of the complete training that we do at ReferMe. Okay, so this is only the list of items that we cover while doing automation, and I will show you a small demo in which I have written a sample program that will run on a real device that is available with me using the APM server. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so basically going through the list of topics that we cover in Java APM training is first chapter that we cover is basically introduction to core Java, in which like we will start with the hello world programming, and we will uh, go on to understand the concepts of Java, like the oops, like how to create objects and classes, how to do operations in Java using conditional statements and operators, and we will learn about looping statements as well. And then we will learn about like how to create packages and organize our code in Java programming. Okay, once we are done with like there will be around 4 hours of session based on like the Q&A that comes up during the programs, and once we are done with like how to access variables using access modifiers and specifiers, then we will jump to the core oops concepts that are inheritance, polymorphism, interface and abstractions. So we will learn about how to use these techniques, or you can say the concepts in day-to-day basis and in our automation code uh, that we will use to develop a small framework at the end of the session to run the automation test cases. Okay, and apart from this there will be a dedicated session in which like we will understand the concept of file handling, collections, exceptions, and working with strings. So these are basically used to understand like how to run in a multi-tenant system, or you can say how to use property files to derive our test cases, so which is a part of file handling. And then we will learn about the collection framework, a small detail about the collection framework, like how to use list and sets in our automation code, so that like we can learn how these collection framework, or basically the collection framework that is provided by Java is used in our automation code. And exception handling, no doubt, is one of the critical topics that we need to learn about, because we don't want our automation code to stop abruptly and hold on the execution entirely. Okay, so we will learn how to do exception handling in our code, in our Java code, basically, in which we will be using APM client to automate the process, so that like the test cases failures are also recognized, and it does not stop the execution of my test suite completely. Okay, then getting started with APM is the next chapter that we will work upon. So in this we will learn about how to set up APM on our system, and how to use APM inspector to identify the elements on the device. Okay, so we will learn about like this is the APM server that is running on my local machine. So you can see over here, like we will start the APM, like we will learn how to install the APM server on a Mac and a Windows machine. Start it locally on the machine with some prefixed configurations that we will use, or we can say the desired capability that we will use to launch the application. And then going on to identify the element using various techniques, like various element identifier techniques, like basically element identifying the element by using IDs, using XPath, using names, etc. And so once we like to learn about the basics, so we need to first understand how to identify a element on on an application, and how to launch an application using APM on a mobile device. So once we have learned about all these concepts, then we will start working with like automating different kind of applications. Basically, you can say automating different kinds of applications, I mean to say like interacting with the elements that are present, or you can say that are available on the mobile application. So for this interaction with the applications that are available on mobile, we will we will use real device to interact with the application and learn about like native apps, mobile apps, hybrid apps. And these all applications we will learn about on a sample application that is available to me. uh, and you can see the sample application. It's called API demos. So basically it contains all the pages, uh, uh, all type of pages that we can think of while doing automation code. Okay, so we will use this sample application to execute our small test cases, or you can say execute our steps and build and learn about how to automate mobile applications. Okay, and going forward, we will learn more about the automating mobility platform, or you can say how to interact with elements, how to use touch action, multi-touch action classes that are provided to us by a APM client, APM Java client, and use those actions to identify the elements, interact with the elements, perform more complex operations like swipe and scroll, drag and drop, and manage the device orientations. And apart from this, we will also learn about how to install a native application using ADB client, and run the client a script code through the Java application, and how to manage network device settings for Android application, because iOS doesn't provide like managing the network settings through the code itself. So we will learn about that part as well. And after learning about the mobility, so in the last three sessions, we will learn about two frameworks. One is called a build framework that is called Maven, and one is called a test framework which is called TestNG, and integrate that framework with our APM code that we will be writing in our sample application automatic that we would have written in the sample applications on real devices on the top, and then converting the complete examples that we will be using to learn in the training session to a small framework which will be based on a page object model, and learn about how to set up a framework and how to make it manageable through properties file or through a command line argument, so that like we can run different like we can run our automation code, be it like integrated with a continuous integration framework, or deploy it on a server and run headless applications, or you can say connect it to a different remote client and run here our automation test cases. So to just give you a demo, the tools that I am using over here are, one is called Visor, which is used for projection of my real device to this, you can say, real device to my screen. And there is Eclipse that I am using as a IDE to write my test cases, and there is a APM client basically. So I have pre-installed the APM client, and I do have some capabilities that are set up for my device as well. So with the name of APM automation, if I push this to my desired capabilities, so you can see like I have provided four desired capabilities over here. One is called app automation name, other one is device name, and the platform name. So basically I am in the app I am providing the location of the APK which is available over here, and then providing the automation name as APM, so that it can run on latest version of Android. So if you want to run your test cases below 4 version of Android, then you have to provide Slandroid and integrate the Slandroid SDK. Over here, device name is basically the Android ID of my device, and the platform name that I want to specify, it can be either iOS or Android. Here we are using Android. Okay, so to run the inspector, if you see like if I do a start session, what will happen, like APM will install the application on my device, and you can see everything that is being running on after installing the app on my device, and it will launch the APM inspector over here. Okay, so while the APM runs its with its settings on my device, I will just walk you through the code that I have written. So basically, I have written a small class which has some test ng annotations with it, in which I am using the test ng annotations to derive my test case. So yeah, so now and so in this I have three methods that are available to me. One is called create APM driver. One is called after test, and one is called sample test. Okay, so what I am doing is in the method called before pream apm driver, so I am passing on all the capabilities that I have set over here in the apm server basically, and using those capabilities, and I am providing it through the code. Then I am providing the application path to the capability, and once I have used those capabilities, then I am creating a Android driver by providing a hub URL, which is my local host loopback address and 4723, on which I started the APM server and provided the capabilities object to it, and then I am launching the driver. So this is the part of the initial setup that I am doing, and afterwards what we are doing is I have written one method called after test, which what it does is it waits for 10 seconds internally and then quits the driver, basically kills the application on my device. So the simple test case that we are doing is like what it does is because we have already configured a before test which launched the application, and then what we are doing is we have created some WebDriver weights, uh, and we are waiting using these weights to wait for expected conditions basically. Expected conditions, those are like defined as like presence of element or presence of element located where, that means the element that we are looking for is present on that screen. It will wait for that particular moment, then we are identifying that identifying the element using find element method with the accessibility id accessibility, and then clicking on it. So when we click on it, just for the sake of automation, I use this thread.sleep over here and in the after test as well, so that like you guys can see what is happening in the automation code. And once I have clicked on accessibility element, and then I wait for 3 seconds, then I wait for another condition like accessibility node querying to appear. And once it is appeared, I will find the mobile element me1 using the accessibility node querying accessibility id, and then afterwards clicking on it. Okay, so let me show you my apm inspector has launched, so how it looks like. So this is a sort of UI which is denotes the APM inspector. So if I click on any element in the app source, I will get its resource ID. Okay, and on the right hand side, select I will get the properties of the selected element, which I can use to automate the test case. Okay, so this is how what APM inspector looks like, which we can use in our automation test code. Okay, and it is a very helpful tool because it helps us in identifying the elements that are available. Okay, so just to give you a demo of the automation test code, I will be closing this APM inspector. I will be stopping this APM server as well, and will be restarting it so that it can refresh all the sessions that it has created with APM inspector. Okay, so you can see, look at my visor. So now I am starting the APM server again. Okay, so it has cleared all and it has restarted. Now let's run the test case for uh, so simply running the test case will be like hitting the play button over here. So it will start, it will launch the test. It will start the execution of test case. So what I have done is I have marked as no reset as true. So it will simply uh, it will simply launch the application. You can see on the visor like Yeah, it launched the application, then it waited for the element accessibility to appear, then it will click on the accessibility node, then it will wait for 3 seconds as I provided it in thread.sleep, then it tapped on it. So because I have because my test case is complete, so the test case is waiting for 10 seconds to exit because I provided thread.sleep. Yeah, so then it afterwards it killed the application and my test case is done, and you can see over here in the console like my sample test case has passed, and these are the results of my test ng test case. Okay, so this was the basically the agenda that we cover in APM training sessions, and what why I would suggest that you should join refer me refer me training sessions, because we don't teach any concept of automating an application, mobile application, or be it Java session via theoretical concepts. We show everything in a practical way, and we take up Q&As and to give you a lot of practice sessions as well. Also, we will guide you through each step of your automation framework, that problems that you can face or you will like you are facing. We will help you through to go through those and help you in setting up a complete APM framework, as well as teach you through the code and every part of the test case, or you can say the identification or automating or interacting with the element or writing the framework. So everything is done and explained via code, via live code that we are writing. So this is also a live code that I used in one of the training sessions, and so that's it about the training session. And from me, I have 9 years of experience working as a QA professional. I have experience in both mobile and web automation. I do have experience with a couple of languages like Python, Ruby, and Java. And I have used a lot of frameworks like Appium, Cucumber, Calabash. Also worked upon cloud automating on cloud framework like AWS Farmhouse and Source Labs. So hope to see you guys in the training session. Hope you like this video, and I hope to see you guys in the training session. Thank you very much.
Need job references? Not getting interview calls? Getting rejection in interviews? Confused for career growth? Looking platform to upgrade technical skills? Seeking company reviews by existing employees? If answer of any of these questions is yes, join Refer Me group of 30,000 plus professional, 8,000 plus resumes shared, 5,000 plus interview calls, 2,500 plus got the offer. Deliver 2,000 plus hours of training workshop, 150 plus resume built, 50 plus mock interviews and much more, only in 3 years of span. Get exposed to the job opening info, technical discussion, internal references, quizzes, workshop and much more. To join group, drop mail on add to referme@gmail.com.